The Mohawk Council of Kahnawà unanimously passed a Mohawk Council Executive Directive condemning Canada's imposition of the proposed First Nations Education Act. The MCK also issued an open letter to Prime Minister Steven Harper declaring Kahnawak's opposition to the impending legislation. Gran Chief Mike Delisle Jr. explains.
It's rare that we do things like this, and I think for that exact reason it's that important. First Nation Education Act is something that can be extremely detrimental not only to this generation but for generations to come. We outlined everything within the MCD, Mohawk Council Executive Directive, as well as in the open letter to the Prime Minister because it needs to reach that level. It sounds, feels like, and smells like residential school all over again. I know that poses nightmares for a lot of people, not only in this community, but across the country. It seems like that's what Canada's direction is. And we need to take a strong stance. We need to ensure that they understood where we're coming from. There could be some shortfalls and pitfalls depending on what their reaction is, but I think Kahnawake needs to be the leader in this one. That's what Chief and Council feel. That's why we signed the two documents that were sent out yesterday. We've seen how this government's acted in other bills, such as the omnibus bill. We obviously don't trust them. They have a direction, as I stated a few moments ago. They're not swaying from that in any way, shape, or form. They're looking to get out of the business of being in the Indian business, so to speak. This smells exactly like all of those other pieces of legislation that they've rammed down ours and Canadians' throats since they've been in power. They're continuing to do so. So they try and hide things behind some of the good-natured fluff that they put within all of these documents or press releases to the general population. But for anybody who's read it, we'll be able to sift through that and say this is extremely detrimental.
Kahnawake has had such a strong position on education for so many years, and what we're hoping to do is encourage as many other First Nations also to step up and really, take a stand on what this issue is all about.
It's about that paternalistic approach, them turning back the clocks and saying, we know best for who you are, we know best in how to develop you as a people, which is extremely disturbing, and we're offloading the obligation of education not only down to a provincial level but totally outside of consideration, I'll say, of what the First Nations have developed up to date.
Right now the working group is made up of members of the school committee, past school committee members, some administration, previous directors and principals. It's a really good cross-section, and they are looking to go out into the community and give as much information as possible to everyone to make sure that they're educated on this issue. We are going to be attending the FNEC meeting next week that's being held in the area. So it's really important that there will be representation from many First Nations and what their views are.
In terms of what we've been able to develop as a community, I think this is worth fighting for. So I think in its entirety, it's just more than disturbing. It's more than an insult, and that's why we took it to this level in terms of the two documents again that we sent.